President Trump has welcomed the passing of a UN resolution endorsing his Gaza peace plan. It also authorises key elements of its second phase. He said a proposed Board of Peace, a transitional governing body for the territory, would be chaired by himself. The plan also envisages Hamas disarming and an International Stabilisation Force being sent into Gaza. Hamas swiftly rejected the proposals. 13 member states voted in favour of the plan, but Russia and China abstained. Here's the moment the resolution was passed at the UN.
The result of the voting is as follows: 13 votes in favour, 0 votes against, 2 abstentions. The draft resolution has been adopted as Resolution 2803, 2025.
That moment in the Security Council in New York, Neda Tawfiq sends this report.
President Donald Trump reacted to the passage of the resolution, saying it was a moment of true historic proportion. He said the Board of Peace would be chaired by him and its other members, the most powerful, respected leaders throughout the world, he said, would be named in the coming weeks. Now, under the resolution, the Board of Peace would supervise temporarily governance of a Palestinian technocratic apolitical committee and oversee the reconstruction of Gaza and the delivery of humanitarian aid. And the International Stabilisation Force would work with Israel and Egypt, along with a newly trained Palestinian police force, to help secure border areas, to disarm non-state armed groups, including Hamas. And the U.S. Ambassador Mike Waltz told council members that any delay would cost lives. He said a vote against the resolution would be a vote to return to war. But Russia and China did not exercise their vetoes. Instead, they abstained to let the resolution pass, largely because the Palestinian Authority and 8 other Arab and Muslim nations backed it. However, both Moscow and Beijing criticized the resolution. They said there was little clarity about the key mechanisms, compositions, that it didn't ensure the participation of the UN, and that it failed to explicitly reiterate a firm commitment to the two-state solution. Now, Israel's Prime Minister Netanyahu reasserted his opposition to a Palestinian state, and Hamas swiftly rejected the resolution as well. It claimed that an international force would not be neutral, but would be a party to the conflict, favoring Israel, and it rejects any attempts for it to disarm.
Neda Tawfiq in New York. Let's go live to Jerusalem and our Middle East correspondent Yolande Nell. Yolande, what has the reaction been there to the passing of this resolution?
There's not been that much new response from the Israeli leaders because, of course, Israel, along with Arab allies of the US, was very much involved in the negotiations that went on intensely, leading to the final text of this UN Security Council resolution. Now, ahead of the vote, there was alarm expressed by some members of Israel's governing coalition about language that was being included, which keeps alive the possibility of a future Palestinian state. That prompted the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to come out saying once again that he firmly rejects that. He said his position hadn't changed one bit. And we also had the Israeli ambassador to the UN, Danny Danon, coming out stressing the importance of Hamas disarmament and saying that, Israel would not stop or let up until Hamas no longer posed a threat to it. And there is, this rejection by Hamas in its statement of the resolution, which is really key here. The Palestinian Authority has welcomed the new resolution, but Hamas came out really stressing that it was not ready to give up its weapons without the creation of a Palestinian state, arguing that its fight against Israel as an occupying power was what it referred to as legitimate resistance. And this, response from Hamas does seem to kind of potentially line it up for, future conflict with the new International Stabilisation Force that will be going into Gaza with its mandate given by this new resolution, because it's saying that in the text it can use military force to carry out its mandate to oversee the process of demilitarising Gaza.
And Yolande, in the West Bank, further settler attacks on Palestinians. Bring us up to date on that.
So we're just speaking to the mayor of this Palestinian village not far from Bethlehem, which saw settlers going on a rampage last night with several cars set on fire, houses set on fire as well. And this came after Israeli forces had taken the rare step of trying to evict settlers from an outpost which had been set up without Israeli authorization not very far away. And Israeli police saying that there were 6 Israelis who were arrested as a result of these confrontations that went on, with tyres being burnt and metal bars, stones being thrown at security forces. Now that actually led to Benjamin Netanyahu taking the rare step of coming out and condemning the settler violence. He said that it was a handful of extremists that were responsible, that they were taking the law into their own hands, and he promised that there would be a committee set up with relevant ministers to try to deal with this problem as soon as possible. Now, during the war in Gaza, there has been this real surge in settler violence that's gone on in parallel in the West Bank, but we've really seen that peaking in just the last few weeks, with the UN's humanitarian office saying that in the nearly 20 years that it's been monitoring extremist settler attacks in the West Bank, it saw the biggest number of attacks, more than 260 in the month of October. That has led to a lot of international condemnation of this phenomenon.
Yolande, thank you very much. Yolande Nell in Jerusalem.